Well, hello everyone. It's been a while, I know. I decided to take a day off and head up into the bush during the summer, which I don't normally do, partially because of that, the bugs, often anyway, and usually because of the heat. There's a lot of places that I would like to hike and whatnot, and when it's 35 or higher degrees, it's not really conducive to that. The fall is really great because, for those reasons, actually, there's not really any bugs to speak of. It's cooler, even though it can be just as sunny, just as brilliant. But of course, the sun, the angle is different, and so it changes the game there. It's actually not that hot out here. Like I've found a shady spot here to have some lunch and make a quick video. And it's actually the ambient temperature is only around 20 degrees. But boy, you go in the sun and it's beaming right through you. I mean, you can probably see I'm a little bit flushed already. And so, it takes some of the fun out of things when you're overheated. Now, today is not going to be like that because I found a few places that I can go where I'm going to be able to avoid the direct sun. The first place that I went was about as high as you can go on the roads that attach to where I am at now, this sort of little labyrinth of roads that come up here. And there was no escaping the sun there, and it was only 10 o'clock in the morning by the time I reached close to 6,000 feet, I think, something like that. But boy, the sun is just, it feels like it's aimed at you, And so anyway, it's nice to find some other places. I'm just exploring a little bit. I've been up in this area before. It's interesting because some of the cut blocks from the logging operations, older ones, there's no active industry up here right now. They go pretty high up the ridge and almost to the top of the ridge. And there's almost a tabletop, which is somewhat rare in this area to have kind of a tabletop on a ridge. And so I checked on Google Earth and I made sure that, within the ceiling of my drone, that I would actually be able to kind of peer over the edge and see over the tabletop and look across other mountain peaks, and I could. And so that's what I did this morning is I got as high as I could go and then I flew the drone. But again, it's hard to get out. So, you're focusing on flying the drone and you're not as aware maybe as you should be of how much radiation you're getting from the sun. So I propped open the lift gate on the canopy of my truck so that I could at least shelter under there a little bit. No, I usually bring a Tilly hat with me. I don't really wear sunscreen pretty much ever, although I probably could have brought some today and maybe some repellent, although the bugs aren't that bad here. They've been much worse in other places, horse flies and of course mosquitoes. The reason for making this video, I'd made a couple of videos in the spring when I took my spring holidays. So that's usually what I do. I take a break in the spring and then a big break in the fall. I'm going to take all of September and probably half of October off this year. And the fall is the best. I mean, the colors are the best. The temperature is the best, the bugs, all that stuff. The fall colors are amazing. I've been driving past a few cut blocks, so slopes that just go like right on up the hill for quite a ways with no trees to speak of, but absolutely carpeted with fireweed, which is my favorite flower, absolutely wonderful plant. And the thing about it is right now it's not in bloom because of course it's a little bit too early in the season yet up here. Down in the valley floors it's already blooming, and actually some of them are they're starting to lose their petals already. Up here, it's all just kind of a uniform green. And it's not that spectacular unless you know what it's going to look like in the fall, which is incredible. I call it sort of the three bloom cycle with fireweed because, you've got the green and then when it does bloom, when the flowers come out, it's pretty, but it's kind of a uniform purple. Again, the same hill is going to be blanketed with a pretty uniform purple hue. But then as the petals start to drop, the leaves start to change color. And that's the second bloom to me, because it's not uniform anymore. It's a mosaic of different oranges and reds and greens and burgundies and yellows, all different colors these leaves turn. And carpeted across a hillside. I mean, it makes a cut block look beautiful. It's one thing about it. The fireweed is just so wonderful because it beautifies everything, even the most ugly of things. And it seems to be more prolific actually in cut blocks than even it is after a forest fire, although last year we had a number of forest fires in the area, and I went to some of those, and it was amazing to see how in only several weeks after a forest fire, there was fireweed in bloom, like just through all of the blackness up shoots these beautiful blooms. But this carpet of rich colors and textures in the fall is amazing. And then when it turns to seed, that's what I would call the third bloom. Because not only up close are they pretty, they're cottony seeds, they're very nice for macro photography, especially if you can, get a nice blurred background and that sort of thing. But also, again, as a field of this stuff. And what's wonderful about here is there's almost no such thing as a level surface, right? So everything is steep slopes pretty much. I can't tell you how many switchbacks it takes to get to where I am right now. And so you're either looking down or up this carpeted hill of cotton. And especially when the sun goes down, it's kind of like the way the sun is hitting my gray hair right now. It makes it look sort of whiter than it is, right? And it's very similar with the cotton of the fireweed plant. When the sun is going down and those rays get, much more closer to sort of perpendicular to the slope of the fireweed and not so straight on from the top. And it is just, it's magical. It's literally magical. The most beautiful thing. The last fall I was in a place and I was just full on goosebumps, full body tingle, just witnessing this majesty, just so incredible. Anyway, I'd made a couple of videos this spring and I haven't uploaded them, and I'm wondering if I should. I guess that's the reason for this video, is I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I mean, a lot has happened, right? But then there's also this kind of YouTube channel where I talk to a few people once in a while, and not regularly enough to keep them interested, and certainly not regularly enough to build any kind of a viewership or following or anything like that. And I wonder why. Should I turn all my videos private and just keep this as a personal archive? Like, I'm not really sure what to do. Some of it stems from some comments and some interactions I've had with people, only in that it makes me wonder if the audience that I've sort of built is the audience for me, or if I'm the YouTuber for them. And clearly not in some cases. I mean, a couple of people have sort of said, I'm so done with your channel. And I think probably a lot of that stems from the fact that I started my channel more or less to offer my rebuttals to the presuppositional Christian apologetic, as many of you have been around for a long time know. And that ship sailed a long time ago for me. But what I come to realize is that a lot of the people who are otherwise followers of me are probably atheists, generally speaking. Not completely the case, but in general. And a lot of atheists tend to be fairly liberal, which again, not absolute, not even close, but there's a lot of that on YouTube, I think, in particular. And it's not that I'm not liberal in some views, and I'm not conservative though either. And that's, I guess, sometimes the issue is these, the political diagram, right, of where do you fit in the quadrants, as though that necessarily makes any sense. And I don't think it does. I think actually some of those quadrants are kind of end up being, some positions are mutually exclusive. So I wonder, how someone could be what they claim to be in some ways, or maybe it's a cognitive dissonance that allows a person to think that they could want freedom and authoritarianism sort of at the same time somehow, and even in the same venue. And they just haven't thought deeply enough about it to realize that's actually what they're advocating for, more or less on the authoritarian side anyway, I think, with some of those arguments. But I hold views in different areas. And as many of you know, I've sort of long thought that the internet is a great tool that ought to be used to great utility. And we've misused the tool, a lot of people. And it's unfortunate because at a time when we should be having probably the greatest dialogue, we're having the poorest dialogue. It feels like, anyway. I mean, obviously, I haven't lived in all times and in all places, so how could I say that? But it doesn't feel like we're communicating well. It doesn't seem like we're disagreeing well, for sure. There's a lot of relegating your opponent to this scrap heap, of irrelevance and human filth and garbage and whatnot. There's a lot of mind reading, commandeering of intent, and deciding for people what they mean instead of inquiring further to clarify. To maybe even reframe what you think their argument is and say, is that about right? Something fair and honest and reasonable like that. And it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of that. And I thought I came, to the skeptic space, right? I thought that was the idea of being an atheist on YouTube. Open-mindedness, but skepticism and critical thinking, rational, empirical approaches to problem solving and that sort of thing. Which is why it confuses me when someone says, I'm so done with your channel, dude, without even saying, I challenge you on this, I challenge you on that, you're wrong here, here's why you're wrong there. It's just, a little bit of a flourish and a disappearing act. And that's okay. I mean, I've watched as my viewership dwindles over time. It's a natural result of not producing content, I think. And I'm fortunate to have I watch people who do, there's a few people that I follow that do produce regular content and they don't have the viewership that I do. And I think that's crazy. That's criminal. And I've always thought of myself as being a very reasonable person. We can have debate. We can have discourse. We can disagree. Bring me your evidence. Let's see where it lands. Maybe I'm not convinced. Maybe I am. Maybe you are and you aren't. Whatever. But what happened to those Enlightenment values of let us reason together, right? So, to that end, I often wonder if maybe I shouldn't just burn the channel to the ground and say, okay, listen, here you want to know where I'm at? Here are the things I stand for. And, the problem is those positions are all so incredibly nuanced. And there's a varying degree of, I don't know what you'd call it, adherence or importance that I place on any one of those given positions that I might have. So some of it may not be actionable at all, and some of it I feel very strongly about. And so it doesn't seem to me like a good use of time to spend a bunch of energy arguing about something with somebody that I feel like, yeah, that's my position, but it's not a voting issue for me. It's not something I'm out there trying to proliferate. It's just my opinion versus something that I would say is, if a person was going to be a one-issue voter, that would be my issue or whatever, and something that we could have, a bitter disagreement and really battle on. But in some ways, I'm not sure that it's all that smart or wise of me to lay out all my positions. Now, some people do it, but I think that it helps when you've already built your viewership based on that. There's a few channels that I watch regularly, and keep in mind, by telling you who they are, this is not me telling you that I agree with them on all those positions and you can use them as a proxy for my position on those things. Just be warned on that. Because I watch a lot of people that I disagree with on different things. I watch Styx. I watch Matt and Blonde quite often. I watch The Hard Bastard. And then I watch, I have a few other channels that I watch, ironically, I guess. Young Turks and things like that. I watch some Tim Pool once in a while just to see, because he's got some interesting takes on things, but he can be, way wrong in my estimation as far as, sometimes he can be way right. I watch Jimmy Dore. There's a lot of channels that I watch. And again, I don't necessarily agree with them on every position, sometimes almost on any, actually. And they have varying degrees of, I would say, viewer friction when it comes to their positions on things if I read through the comment section. And of course, most of the time, the comment section is where you're going to get a really interesting take on things because, of course, there are a lot of very good humorous comments. There are a lot of very good trolling comments. There are a lot of insightful comments. And there's a lot of, absolute trash. People, almost literally just defecating out their mouth and saying really stupid things that haven't surpassed even a small amount of rigor, I think. But it's interesting to see that, and I spend a lot of time in the comments section of these videos. So someone like The Hard Bastard, for instance, he's got a particular set of values, right? He's an ex-Mormon, I think. And so he's got some traditional values to him, but of course he's not religious. And he lets his freak flag fly in terms of those values. I mean, he doesn't couch any of them, and it's a take it or leave it deal, right? I mean, I don't think he really cares if you disagree with him, but I think that starting a channel based on those values and building it up is better. It's, better suits him to have the viewership that he has now than someone like myself starting on a very narrow, limited scope. And I started to realize the disparity between my views and some of the views of people that view my channel when we started talking about morality and things like that. And of course, it even started like, oh, are we going to have this goddamn discussion again, the morality discussion? And I thought, but it's all morality, right? So how can you not have the discussion? Everything you discuss really is going to be about morality. It's the same thing when it comes to all the stuff that we've gone through in the world lately. I hope that I'm getting a little bit of wind. I hope it isn't buffeting the microphone. I apologize if it is. I'll try to clean it up in post if I can. The things that we've gone through in the past couple of years has led a lot of people to make demands of other people based on empirical data. But that's not how we make decisions. We make decisions based on goals and ethics, right? The science is not prescriptive, it's descriptive. It tells you what is. To the extent that it does that successfully, it tells you what is. What to do about it has to do with your values and your ethics and your goals. So it's all morality, it's all ethics, right? But then, of course, we got into some discussions about secular objective morality. Is it a thing? Can you derive a set of objective morals without a God and that sort of thing? And many people said, no, you can't. It's all subjective. And we come to decisions, respectfully, subjectively, democratically, or something like that, which is, there's a little bit of utilitarianism in that mix, right? But I think a lot of people left that conversation as well. And so I don't know, what is my channel about? I guess that's the question. Should I just do a blog, a vlog style thing because I'm probably going to semi-retire next year, or I should say semi-retire sounds too strong, reduce my work week to probably 3 days. And that'll free up some time. And I'd love to discuss issues. I feel like I bring something to the table in terms of a rational, at least the desire to be empirical and rational and clear-headed about things. Because at the very least, even if I'm wrong-headed on an issue, that desire to be honest with myself is something that can be utilized by another party to show me where I'm wrong if I am in fact wrong. And maybe they're wrong. I don't know. Like one of us might be wrong, right? But I think that leaves me open to a reasonable discourse, which again I feel like is being lost out there to a large degree, certainly across the political spectrum. But I think even people are losing that a little bit, even with people of like mind. Anyway, so I don't know, or do I just do a vlog and talk about the other things that I'm interested in? Because of course, all the things that are happening in the world are of some interest to me, but they're really not what makes me tick. I mean, it's important to me that people are healthy and happy and able to pursue their dreams, and that we, can listen to these birds and enjoy the things that we enjoy. So obviously political discussion is important, but it's not a driver for me. A driver for me is being here, playing with tech, photography, videography, those sorts of things, exploring. Music, many of you may not know, but I'm an amateur musician. I've got, lots of synthesizers and soft synths, and I got sucked into the modular synthesizer. I'd call it a rabbit hole, but it's more like a wormhole, right? Or a black hole or whatever. And those are definitely my interests. If I had it my way, I would spend all my time taking pictures, making music, and wandering around in the bush like an idiot. Like that's what I would do. And I like motorcycles. I've got a dual sport and a Harley, which I'm probably going to sell. But cars to a limited extent. I mean, in some ways, doing it as a trade has dulled my enthusiasm, although I've got a sports car and stuff like that, and I still enjoy them. I still enjoy auto racing as a spectator. I did do some iRacing for several years and really enjoyed that and did really well at it. But I've come to realize, time is limited in nature, and if you're going to be hobby rich, you should prioritize them and maybe even come to the realization that some hobbies you won't have time for if you're going to do your primary hobbies well. And so that's kind of the conclusion I've come to. But, do I make my channel about that? Like, I really don't know. Or are talking head videos sort of passé now and I should just fold it up, It's kind of an interesting crossroads, I guess, for me. If nothing else, I actually do appreciate having the archive of materials and thoughts that I've had and just me as I've progressed and things like that. So I would probably just turn all my videos private. And of course, I've got several iPhones packed full of videos that were never uploaded. I've got, videos that I made when the Las Vegas shooting was happening and just all these different eras and times and commenting on oftentimes the ethics of the day. What does this mean in terms of gun rights or the arguments pro and con? And what does this mean in terms of other ramifications, right, that affect us as a society, as a culture, or as a country, or whatever, as a globe, So I don't know. I'm looking for some feedback, actually. I enjoy the intellectual back and forth. I enjoy sharpening my arguments. One thing I will say, the most that I've taken away from being on YouTube has been the introspection that it's developed within me. And, because I had come onto YouTube and I know that I'd made several assertion-based arguments, not really any substance to them. And, I got cross-checked real quick. And that's a little bit harrowing when it first happens, because I think quite often people are used to being able to do that. If you're in a little bit of an echo chamber, you're in a circle of people that tend to agree with you, you can make lots of assertion-based arguments or just plain assertions, and you don't really get challenged all that much. When you put yourself out into the broader culture, suddenly there are people who disagree with you and they're going to demand you show your receipts. And I wasn't that used to that. And that's really honed that for me. Then I came to the realization that this isn't just about me interacting with other people in the world. This is about me and myself. And this is about, what do I believe? What basis do I have for that belief? How can I rationalize that? What evidence do I have to hold certain positions? And that's caused me to engage in many a hot tub deliberation, sharpening my arguments, running ideas out to their logical conclusions in many different ways, so that I can make sure that I feel like I've got the right grasp on whatever the topic is that is being talked about. And I really, really appreciate that. And certainly for any of you who've helped me sharpen, forge that tool in the fire of, friendly crossfire, friendly criticism, constructive criticism, or whatever, I'm certainly thankful to you for that. So anyway, let me know in the comments section what you think. What do you think about these kind of videos where people just talk, and is it interesting? Is it not interesting? Is it pointless? Is it pointless in this day and age? Or is there value there? And is there value hashing out ideas in what I think is a really interesting space? And again, I think the tool it's certainly unparalleled in human history. The way we use it, hey, I've been on TikTok, so the way we use this wonderful tool is questionable, I would say, but nonetheless, it is a fabulous tool. I may end up uploading those videos from the spring, so of course, temporally they're going to be mixed up kind of thing. If I sort of repeat anything, because I know some of these topics I did discuss, pardon me for that if you end up watching those, but understand the nature of that. I still have those videos just sitting on my phone. I haven't uploaded them, and I don't know if I will, but if I do, you may see some repetition there. But my hair was longer and I was in a different area and stuff too. So maybe that's will be enough for people to get the hint. Bearded video, clean shaven long hair video, clean shaven short hair video. You'll kind of get the idea that there was some time elapsed between those videos. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. I appreciate the feedback and the comments in the comment section. I probably won't be extremely active, although I'll try to respond to comments as they come in. But until September, when I take my fall holidays, I won't be putting down any TLDR type responses unless I feel compelled. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Have a good day.